Committee. It's Friday, May 1st. Happy May Baskets Day, 2020. And I'm just checking here. We have an informational hearing today. Just as a reminder, I'm sure we're all pretty well versed in Zooming now, but this is an official recorded hearing. Just be patient if we have a few technical things as we move forward here. And members, as you have comments, if you would raise your hand, your blue hand at the bottom of your screen, I'm going to try and keep a good track on that so we make sure everybody gets their voice in. These should come up in the order of which you raise your hand. So if I don't call on you right away, don't lower your hand because I think that puts you at the bottom of the list. So be sure to get those blue hands up there. And just as a reminder, we have 3 bills today. This is an informational hearing. No votes will be taken. Our first bill is Senate File 3709. That is my bill. It's a technical change, members. The name of the recipient on the institution that we appropriated the funding to last year has changed its name. And so we just need to clarify that the existing appropriation continues to the newly renamed institution. You should have letters from both the Minnesota Children's Museum and the Spark Museum in your inboxes or on our page. And even then, I didn't quite get the name right. And so there's an amendment that would change it to, it's supposed to be called the Children's Museum of Rochester. I don't think there's any questions, but I definitely want to open that up if somebody has any question, but it's just following the legislative intent. Seeing no hands, we will go ahead and see if there's any testimony for or against this technical change. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and lay that on the side with its amendment. And then members, our second bill today is Senate File 3637. And this is Senator Sparks's bill. Senator Sparks, are you on here today? I'm looking for you in my list. I'm not seeing Senator Sparks. Does anyone see Senator Sparks on the list here today? I do not see him.
It looks like Senator Sparks is currently connecting.
Oh, excellent. All right. So members, just so I'll give you the bill number while he's getting on here. The bill number is 3637. And as soon as we get Senator Sparks on here, we'll give him an opportunity to make some comments. I know I was on a Zoom right before this, and we had some connection problems where people were in places maybe where the broadband wasn't quite working. So if you ever cannot hear the speaker, do please notify us so we know that that's an issue. Okay, we'll give Senator Sparks a moment to get on here. There is Dan Sparks. Welcome to the committee, Senator Sparks.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, and we're glad you're here in the Education Committee. We have your Senate File 3637 up, and I wanted to know if you would like to make some opening comments about your bill, and then we'll turn it over to Council to give us a brief run through. Senator Sparks.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Madam Chair and members, for the opportunity to testify on Senate File 3637. I certainly want to thank you, Madam Chair, for being a co-author, as well as Senator Dames and Senator Clausen. And I'll be brief in my remarks. I got 2 great teachers here that will tell you a little bit about why we think this bill is a good idea and hopefully why we can move this forward today. But basically, like many of you, I no longer serve on the Education Committee, but my first term I did. And I think we all understand, and I'm sure everyone on this committee is on this committee because they realize how important education is to the entire state of Minnesota. And unlike many of you, I'm sure that you all meet with your local districts on a regular basis, as do I. And this is a result of one of those meetings. We meet annually with a lot of our school districts, large and small. This one kind of came out of some meetings we had with the local Austin Public School District. And it's been one of the most beneficial meetings I think we have as a senator. Myself, along with my housemate, Representative Poppy, meet with superintendent, school board members, administrators, teachers. And it's really a great opportunity to sit and visit, listen to those people that are in the classroom and the kids that are working so hard to make sure that all of our children around the state get the great education they deserve. Sometimes they praise us, sometimes they have ideas of things they can do to make things better. But overall, I think it just really helps us understand the importance of education and what we can do to maybe help them along. This bill is a result of that. During the last 2 times we've met, there's been a difficulty getting substitute teachers in our buildings and some of the hardships and burdens it places on the other teachers that are actually there. And so that's a result of this. We've worked closely with Senate Council. I want to thank them, along with House Council, to try to draft this bill as tightly as possible. I know there may still be a few concerns with the bill, but I think it'd be nice to have a little discussion. And when you're ready to proceed, Madam Chair, I have 2 great teachers that have joined us today, I believe, that would like to make a few remarks. And if you'd like Council to talk more about the bill, that would be wonderful as well.
Thank you, Senator Sparks. And I can't tell you how much I agree with you. Those meetings that we have usually in December or January with our school leadership, our principals, our superintendents, and school board members, all meeting in one meeting for like Senate District 26 or Olmsted County, are incredibly helpful. That's where some of the best ideas come from. So before we get to our testifiers, I will have Council just do a quick run through of the bill. And Ms. Lewis, is that your bill today?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis.
Can you all hear me with I'm using a new setup, so.
Sound good.
Okay, thank you. So this Senate File 3637 requires the Professional Educator Licensing Standards Board to approve a school board or a charter school's request to issue a short call substitute teacher's license, as long as the candidate meets the following requirements: that the candidate has the necessary skills and knowledge to work as the short call substitute teacher, that they have an associate's degree, a professional certification, or 5 years of relevant work experience, that the district and charter has consulted with the exclusive representative, if any, of the teachers in the district or charter school regarding that license, and then the district or charter school has conducted a criminal background check on the candidate, and that in the previous school year, the district or charter school was unable to hire enough licensed short call substitute teachers. The board is required to approve the application within 30 days, and it allows the board to revoke the license if they find that the candidate did not meet one of the requirements, or at least one of the requirements, or if something came back in the background check that they would not be appropriate to be in the classroom. Under paragraph C, the short call substitute license is limited to that district or charter school that requested the license on behalf of the candidate. And the term of the license is limited to 2 years and is not renewable unless the candidates meet the requirements of a short call substitute under the Minnesota rules, which then requires the candidate to have a bachelor's degree. The board is then directed to report to the legislature on the number of districts or charters that requested the licenses, the number of candidates who received those licenses, the number of licenses revoked, and then recommendations for rule or statutory changes to allow for licensed short call substitute teachers. And then this is a temporary authority on behalf of the board to issue the licenses, and it expires on June 30, 2023. And that's the bill.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Lewis. Senator Sparks, congratulations on a very thorough bill here. A nice bipartisan, bicameral bill. Let's welcome Mr. Tom Compton, 7th grade U.S. history teacher at Ellis Middle School. Mr. Compton, welcome to the committee. You will introduce yourself so we can get your voice on the record for those who might be listening today. Mr. Compton.
Hi, my name is Tom Compton. I'm, like you said, 7th grade U.S. history teacher in Austin, Minnesota, and I'm also the Austin Education Association president, our local teacher union.
Thank you, Mr. Compton. Welcome to the committee. Tell us about this bill.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So I have a written statement, so I apologize if I'm not looking into the camera, if you guys don't mind. First off, Chairperson Nelson and members of the Senate E12 Finance and Policy Committee, I want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to testify my support for SF 3637, the short call substitute teaching bill. Districts throughout the state are facing a substitute shortage, and SF 3637 will not only help address the small or the sub shortage, will also, and arguably more importantly, better assist districts in having the adult populations of schools reflect that as a student body, something the AEA, the Austin Education Association, our school board, and other school districts throughout the state are continuously striving to accomplish. Moreover, this bill would provide a subset of our population the opportunities to engage with our schools and students, and hopefully encourage these same individuals to pursue education degrees and ultimately join the profession. Communities with diverse populations such as Austin, not to mention low unemployment numbers, find it very difficult to recruit and retain short call substitutes with the current 4-year degree legislative requirement. Simply trying to pay subs more or hiring full-time in-house subs has not worked. Furthermore, as a union, one of the most frequently added items to our meet and confer agenda at the end of each year is colleague coverage. The 6 weeks preceding distance learning, our district was averaging 19 unfilled teaching positions per week, or nearly 4 every day, requiring these unfilled positions to be filled via colleague coverage. This equates to 95 teachers missing their prep time on a weekly basis, or nearly 20 teachers missing their prep time on a daily basis. In turn, teachers are forced to work even longer hours outside their normal contract time to plan and prepare for their classes. To make matters worse, in the elementary buildings, colleague coverage is generally facilitated by our instructional coaches and/or our interventionists. This means students who normally receive math or reading intervention are missing that time because their coach or interventionist is being called upon to sub. If our legislature truly wants to help close the reading and math achievement gap, diversify the adults in our public school buildings, and help support the public school teachers of this great state, passage of this bill would do wonders. In closing, I want to thank the Senate E12 Finance and Policy Committee for allowing my testimony in support of SF 3637 to be heard, and I hope my testimony will provide both houses of the legislature the opportunity to engage in productive discussions to create a solution that solves the sub-crisis our district and many other school districts are facing. I want to thank you guys again for giving me this opportunity to testify in support.
Mr. Compton, thank you. That is impactful testimony. I'm hoping you can send us those comments as well. I do want to make sure we have a strong record of those. Those are very compelling. And I did not know that we were removing reading intervention specialists from their job of bringing kids up in their reading skills, closing the achievement gap so they could fill vacant positions. That should be a staggering realization for all of us. So thank you for making that so clear. Members, are there any comments or questions for Mr. Compton? Okay, I'd say that's, stay with us. There could be some at the end as well, please. And our next testifier is Race Hardy, a social studies teacher at Austin High School. Is it Mr. Hardy or Miss? I'm looking for you.
It's Mr. Hardy, Race Hardy, Mr.
Okay, Mr. Hardy, are you with us today? Okay. Senator Sparks, did you have confirmation or that Mr. Hardy was going to testify today?
Madam Chair, that was my understanding, but if you had I know that your CA had reached out to him and he responded in an email and said thank you. So
Sure.
I don't know if he's having problems.
Okay.
If you need to move on, I guess. I think he had also was going to try to get some written testimony if that helps you as well.
Yes, yes. We'll go ahead and move on right now, and maybe he's having trouble getting on. But if he does come on, Mr. Hardy, make sure that you flag us so we can hear your comments personally. And if we don't get to hear from him today, Senator Sparks, if you could get us those written comments, and we'll make sure they get to all of the committee members. Members, are there any testifiers who are testifying in opposition to Senate File 3637? I don't see any testifiers in opposition. And then members, are there any questions for our testifier or for the bill's author? I do not see any. So Mr. Senator Sparks, do you have some closing comments?
Other than Madam Chair, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to present this bill. I know there's still maybe some more work to do on it, but we've had some thorough discussions. Again, I think we're just trying to look for some solutions that will work for everyone and continue. I think, my reputation as Senator has always been to try to find peace in the valley, so to speak. Is when you served on my jobs committee, we always did the heavy lifting in committee and tried to make sure that by the time the bill got to the floor, it was ready for prime time. You have my commitment if we can continue to keep working and find some more people to agree to let this move forward. I certainly would appreciate that opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Sparks. And we do have Senator Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Sparks, I just want to say thank you. I think the most stressful job in any school is the sub-coordinator's job, who is scrambling to find people to at the last minute to fill all those classrooms. And I know teachers have stepped up over the years because they just can't find subs. So this is going to alleviate the stress level of a lot of people in a lot of schools. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Oh, thank you, Senator Swedzinski. Senator Sparks, great bill. And it was very in depth how you went through every piece of needed steps for our substitute teachers to maintain. And so I think this is a good bill. We're going to lay this over. And thank you, Senator Sparks.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members.
Oh, Senator Sparks, I did enjoy that time on the Jobs Committee. You ran a great Jobs Committee, no doubt about that.
Thank you so much.
That's where I got all my knowledge on broadband, as I was talking about earlier today. So, all right, thank you so much. Okay, members, our third bill for today is Senator Clausen's bill, and that's Senate File 3238. Senator Clausen, would you like to make some opening comments about your bill? Senator Clausen.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks for the opportunity to present Senate File 3238. I'd like to begin by moving the A2 amendment.
Okay, members, the A2 amendment should be on our committee page. I want to make sure everybody can get that in front of them. Let's pull that up here.
And while you're doing that, Madam Chair, just to the amendment, the A2 amendment is really the heart of Senate File 3238, which modifies the requirements for establishing an area learning center.
Senator Clausen, thank you. And then to your bill with this amendment language included.
Thank you. There are over 240 area learning centers throughout the state serving a viable option for students experiencing difficulty in the traditional learning settings. Many of these students are at risk and in danger of not completing their education. Area learning centers traditionally have smaller class sizes. They use personalized learning strategies and are often project or competency based. The current bill requires school districts to establish area learning centers in cooperation with other school districts while exempting this requirement from school districts located in a city of the first class. Senate File 3238 removes the requirement to establish an area learning center in cooperation with other districts. The replacement language changes the requirement language to may establish area learning centers with other districts, which provides greater flexibility and is many cases the norm right now that there's one district standing area learning centers. Many school districts have the capacity and the economy of scale to offer their own area learning programs and have done so for several years, many of which unaware of the requirement to partner with other school districts, which is in statute that we're considering. Districts did what it made sense to do based on local decision-making. Senate File 3238 reflects the current statewide area learning center profile. Some districts have found establishing their own area learning centers, while others have partnered with neighboring school districts because on a local level, it made sense to do so. That's all of my comments, Madam Chair, and I turn it over to the testifiers, or if you'd like Senate Council to go through the bill.
We'll have Senate Council just do a quick run through of the bill. And I think that's Ms. Jelsta.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. I would just add that the A2, by striking the language that was new, except for district, removes except for district located in a city of the first class, and it also removes a new language on page 1, line 12, which is, and the 10 largest school districts based on enrollment in the 2017-2018 school year. And then on line 13, by striking must and inserting may, more school districts are able to establish area learning centers without pairing with another district. So that would be what I would add.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll have a question for Ms. Hofer as we get to if there's any fiscal ramifications. But first, let's get to our testifiers. And first we have Terry Stalock, Superintendent of Prior Lake Savage. Welcome, Superintendent. Welcome back to the committee.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you, committee, for inviting us today. I wanted to be sure that you all knew that I'm also a member of the executive committee for the Association of Metropolitan School Districts. So while I'm testifying on behalf of Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, I'm certainly also doing so in consultation with other districts. At Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, we have a remarkable ALC, and I have the coordinator of the ALC with me today, who's also going to share a comment. Our community in the last couple of years supported a referendum, and part of that referendum was to build a brand new ALC that provided the learning space needed of our at-risk learners. Our Prior Lake Rotarians serve as mentors to our students. Another service organization that we have, our ROC committee, provides food and other needed resources to our students. So we collaborate with a lot of people through this program. As a leader in the school district, I expect all of my leaders to collaborate with other school districts on programming, on our ideas, and through learning so that they can share and offer the best services possible for our students. That's what we do as educators. We share ideas, we network, we make sure that we're all serving the students of Minnesota in the best way possible. I would like to yield the rest of my time to Dave Brown, who is the Bridges Area Learning Center Administrator and has been since the beginning of the program 10 years ago. But I want to reiterate that our position is that we, while we embrace collaboration, we definitely do not feel the need to have a requirement for us to partner with another district. We have a successful school in place and want to maintain that without that requirement. And with that, Madam Chair, unless you have any questions of me right now, I'd like to yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Superintendent. Members, if you want to hold your questions, we have 4 testifiers and they'll all be here to answer them at the end. So thank you, Superintendent. Our next testifier is Dave Brown, ALC Coordinator. Mr. Brown, welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Dr. Stallo and members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to testify on our experiences and our advocacy. And in fact, our advocacy is that there should not be a partner requirement.
Mr. Brown,
yes.
Mr. Brown, could you identify yourself, obviously, for the record here, but also where are you? You're the ALC coordinator for what area or where?
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I am the Area Learning Center Coordinator here at Prior Lake Savage Area Schools for our ALC Bridges. And that has been my role here since 2009.
Thank you. Continue with your testimony, please.
All right, thank you. So as I was saying, our advocacy is that there should not be a partnership requirement. Prior Lake Savage Area Schools and several of our neighboring districts have successful ALCs where the oversight of these partner expectations has not been the practice. At Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, as we've worked to satisfy what we are interpreting these current partnership expectations and the component requirements, that's been more out of compliance orientation as opposed to authentic and natural collaboration, which is incidentally already occurring throughout the state. Examples of what is naturally occurring with Bridges and many other ALCs in Minnesota includes our current Alternative Program South Metro Region Group, which alternative programs meet at least quarterly. In fact, we just met as a region last week in which 6 programs in our region in the South Metro collaborated on what's happening around the distance learning that's going on in our region, as well as current programming and bringing great perspective and ideas to all. These professional learning communities have been ongoing for years that we've been participating in, and it certainly is not just in our region. Minnesota as well has a state association for alternative programs called MAP, the Minnesota Association of Alternative Programs. And that association supports and conducts regular professional development throughout the year. It conducts continuous improvement, idea sharing, and it provides many opportunities for all ALCs and all alternative programs throughout the state. Our state convention recently concluded last February. There, hundreds of my colleagues enjoyed several days of breakout sessions, workshops, and keynote speakers to support practice, hear from like-minded professionals, and understand and see examples of what's happening throughout the state, as well as connect with our program specialists at the Minnesota Department of Education. If the interpretation of this statute as is moving towards the integration of already established ALC programs, the implications are much more involved, such as what's happening around program structures, student management systems, financial record keeping, and so on. And so that could create more barriers and challenges than it eliminates. Being compelled to satisfy legislation that was established long ago for an educational landscape that looked very different then without many ALCs is certainly not what the landscape is we see today in our alternative programs. Most are highly connected. All have many and multiple avenues of support and resources. Today's Minnesota alternative program educational landscape is highly networked, commonly supported on many levels, and today ALCs and alternative programs are certainly highly successful. Furthermore, I would just add that elements of the fiscal reporting that have been suggested of this required partnership could be very cumbersome to ALCs in their districts, especially if left to one of the partners to have oversight in this area over multiple partners. Most district business offices simply don't have that capacity for that kind of oversight, especially in our smaller districts. And ALCs are already typically smaller in staff, providing that more individualized approach. It would defeat the purpose by compelling this kind of oversight. Programming and operations would be impacted by the time it would take for this review, and ultimately it would be a detriment to students. Financial reporting, in my recommendation, should be left to the district and to the individual partners as how and what this would look like, as they know their programs and students best. And I would also add that there would likely be an equity consideration compelling ALCs to partner. Those of us in alternative education already are working and seeking as much as we as able to support students and families needing more than traditional education students. Separating districts into tiers would require more from programs and districts that already may be providing as much as able, and require less from those districts that may have more to offer. Additionally, as district sizes change and the status of these partnerships will be affected. If ALCs build partnerships and programming based on a statute and are no longer needed, as size fluctuates. The impact of these changes could be detrimental if members of the partner communities are no longer required to partner and then move away from partnership. Instead, our recommendation and advocacy is encouraging ALCs to build authentic ways to partner and collaborate. This will have a much higher degree of sustainability and impact to the students of these programs where partnerships are built based on mutual identified needs and willingness. Working to complete partnership interpretation by this legislation and required forced partnerships of the many professional learning communities that are already established could impede the good work that is already happening. As a result, I advocate for this bill to promote partnerships, but not require them, as no other school grouping, at least in Minnesota, that I am aware, has this obligation. Thank you for your time and consideration and allowing me a moment to testify in this matter.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Brown. Next on our list is Denise Dietrich with the Minnesota School Board Association. Welcome to the committee. I don't see Ms. Dietrich,
is
but
not available.
I do see Ms. Lewis.
Yes,
Welcome to the committee. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Kim Lewis, and I'm with Minnesota School Boards Association. I'm here today in support of Senate File 3238 and the amendment that opens pathways and takes down barriers for districts to establish area learning centers. Everything has been said so eloquently, I can't really add that much more to it other than the centers do provide flexibility for the way that students learn, and schools need that flexibility today to meet students where they are at and provide the education systems to help them be successful. And we just think that by opening the opportunities and providing school boards with the ability to make the decisions that best meet their wide range of needs in the district and with their students is best for all. And we just appreciate Senator Clausen bringing this bill forward and for all his work on 3238. And I will just conclude my comments with that.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lewis. And then we have Roger Aronson, Principals Association. Mr. Aronson, welcome to the committee.
Chair. My name is Roger Aronson. I represent the Elementary and Secondary Principals Association, and we're very happy and pleased to testify in favor of this bill. A couple of facts is that would interest the committee. We think, based on the data that we have from the department, there are almost 150,000 students that get impacted by ALCs, and that we have about 250 ALCs around the state. This committee and your colleagues in the House have had a lot of discussion from a lot of sources about school discipline and what type of effective interventions that we can make with students. I have to say that ALCs are an integral part of the overall educational program, and that it is very often among school principals that we say, get to know your ALC director very, very well, because there are times when they are pleading with these folks to try to get space in the ALC to get a student in there who needs to be there. So this type of legislation and the opportunity to review the ALCs and to hear from people like Director Brown in particular, who does such a wonderful job at explaining his programs. This is really important to get this in front of the committee so that we can look at these programs and do whatever we can to support them. To the extent that you heard from Superintendent Stalick that this may help open some more ACs and from Brown, Mr. Brown as well. We are 100% behind that. It's easy. Sometimes they're not the high profile programs, but these are really important programs and they deserve as much support as we possibly can give them. So we wholeheartedly support this and it also the technical corrections that we're looking to make in terms of the practice that's out there. I was very pleased that Senator Clausen asked that we weighed in on this and make a comment. So thank you very much, Madam Chair. And it is really important that you're taking a look at this bill. This is good work.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Aronson. Members, do you have any comments or questions for any of our testifiers? I'm not seeing any hands at the moment. Let's just look here. I thank you very much. This is, it sounds like a great bill. And I had to note that it sounds like this, and maybe one of our staff knows, when was this legislation written? It must have been quite some time ago. And as seems to be so often, quite often, our education statutes don't keep up with the way that our society operates today, what the needs are, and what our kids' needs are. So, Senator Clausen, thank you for bringing this forward. Do you have any final comments?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And I just would like to say thank you to the testifiers. They did just an excellent job of providing an overview of the role of ALCs in our communities and the service that they provide for students. This bill, I think, is important as we move forward because it does provide that flexibility, and it puts our current area learning centers, many of them in compliance with state law with this amendment that we've heard today. So again, Madam Chair and testifiers, thanks so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you, Senator Clausen. And I just wanted to make sure I did, is MAP in favor of this change? Senator Clausen, the Minnesota Alternative, yes, are the Minnesota Alternatives Program group, MAP, are they in favor of this change?
I had a discussion with them early in the session, and yes, they were in favor.
Thank you. All right, very good. Members, we will lay this Senate file 3238 aside. I did not, oh, excuse me. Yes, I did not see any further comments for Mr. Clausen, Senator Clausen 3238. And members, we have worked through our agenda for today. I particularly want to thank the senators today. These are the type of bills that this committee is so focused on. These bills that are non-controversial, that are bipartisanly supported in both the House and the Senate. In this environment, this COVID-19 environment, which is our schools are doing unbelievable, the change that they have initiated with such a short time period of 8 days to plan to put the rest of their curriculum in a distance learning, either digital or delivering via other methods. To do that for the last 3 months of school is a huge effort, and we just want to thank them for that. And as we know, things are a bit uncertain as far as what the fall will look like. And our most recent projections are that we'll see a bit of an uptick, a bit of a resurgence. In fact, we'll see the peak of COVID-19 in July is where we think that will be right now. And we just don't know what the fall is going to be like. And so I think it's so important that we get these non-controversial things that don't have a fiscal note attached, since we don't have funding. In fact, we're quite worried about what next year is going to look like. I see our superintendent shaking her head. I know I've heard from my leaders as well, school leaders, very concerned about what next year is going to look like. And so we want to get these type of things that are going to make our schools, give them the flexibility in this case to operate to better serve students. So I just want to thank you for bringing this forward, Senator Clausen and Senator Sparks as well, trying to really cut down on that, on the gap of having a qualified substitute. So thank you so much. We will lay these bills on the table, and I see that Senator Swedzinski has his hand up. Senator Swedzinski.
Senator Torres Ray had her hand up before me, so
Senator Torres
please
Ray.
call on me. Call on me when she's done, please.
Absolutely. Senator Torres Ray. I'm sorry, I didn't see that down at the bottom of my screen. Senator Torres Ray.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and
yes,
senators. I have a couple of questions, especially after your remarks. Senator, I appreciate why you are trying to do non-controversial bills. I commend you for that. I think that's something you want to do, but my preference would be that we actually dive into the more not controversial, but very, very important, challenging issues that our districts are facing. I don't know, maybe you represent an area that is wealthy and you don't hear these issues. I don't. I happen to have.
I don't either.
I happen to to receive a lot of messages from, superintendents, teachers, parents, even students who are struggling. And they want me to respond to those struggles. They want me to figure out, what is that we're going to do to address some of the challenges that teachers are facing, and supporting parents and supporting students with technology. Schools don't have staff to do this. They don't have divisions to assign to deal with these issues. They have significant challenges with families that are struggling right now. They just don't have resources to cope with what they are facing in terms of unemployment and other issues, and mental health and trauma is a big part of these issues, of these challenging times that kids are facing at home. And, even just basic fundamental things, lack of a computer, a telephone that they cannot use because they have prepaid phones that are completely inadequate. Those are the stories that I hear, Senator. And so, I appreciate that you're trying to get some of these things done, and I'm all for it. If you want to have a hearing, I have these non-controversial bills taken care of. I'm voting for them. Move them on. If you want to have more hearings every day, move them on. But not to take care of these fundamental needs, and not to dive into the conversations with superintendents about these challenges, in my opinion, is irresponsible. And the other part that I don't understand is, why are we having hearings on issues that are so non-controversial, and then you don't move them? If they are so non-controversial, just move them and be done with that. I really would like you to hear your response, because I just don't get it. I don't understand, how can we be having 2 hearings a week on education, which is one of the most important issues we need to address, and not have a conversation about supporting our districts, not having a conversation with superintendents about the issues that they're struggling with, not addressing issues of technology, not addressing issues around mental health. And then we have these bills, and then we don't move them. We're parking them, and I don't know what's going to happen to them, right? And I heard your comment last night. You just don't want amendments to these bills, and I just feel like, well, that's the way we do this work. And then you just don't move the amendments, move the bills. That's the responsibility that we take. So you don't want amendments to these bills because they're non-controversial. So how easy that you just park them, and then what? What are we doing, Madam Chair? Could you please tell us?
Thank you, Senator Torres Ray. Yeah, I appreciate all of your comments. I'll try and I've written them down, so hopefully we can address them all, because it's an important conversation to have. First, I do want to make sure that, and I do want the committee and of course the public to know too, the school districts that I represent are from one end to the other. None of them are considered wealthy districts. But I do have some of our largest districts in the state, and then I also have some of the smallest districts in the state. And some of my districts are, where we get that list. I'm sure you get it. I get it every year. It lists all the school districts in the state and what their funding is on a per pupil level. And I always go through and I highlight my school districts. I want to see where they are and how they're doing. And several of mine are the very least funded districts in the state as far as having the most financial challenges. So I definitely understand. I think actually, I just have whatever kind of district you have. I think I have that kind of district, school district in my Senate district as well. So, and then in your comments, Senator Torres Ray, about technology, that is a critical issue. As you know, I'm sure you're following the Westrom bill, which was heard in the Finance Committee on, I think it was the morning of when you wanted to amend the technology mental health piece onto the vaping bill, whichever day it was we had that hearing. That bill is moving, Senator Torres Ray. We had another hearing this week on that as well. And it was a very good hearing in finance as far as making sure that all of our kids have access to high-speed broadband, make sure that they have access to the digital divide is something as educators we've talked about for a decade or more, but we are seeing it in spades now for those kids that can't get that. So I want to assure you, Senator Torres Ray, that is moving forward. It's being worked on bipartisanly and in both chambers, both the House and the Senate. So I'm confident that we will come forward with a very unified, cohesive piece of broadband technology there to make sure funding to make sure our kids have what they need regarding technology. And also mental health is a big issue. I'm hearing that. I'm sure you are too. And it's not just from our students, parents and workers who are now at home or who are without the economic stress too of all of these closures has further heightened the mental health issues. And I get calls every day about that, and I bet you do too. So that is extremely important, and that is also moving in several bills as well. And also we do have mental health schooling to mental health grants as well. Of course, we never did get a target. We were thinking in the supplemental budget year that, of course, there would eventually be a target for E12 education. Certainly, those of us on this committee, we know how important that is. And with the advent of COVID-19, that just kind of changed everything. So we're now in the post-COVID-19 world, and there hasn't been a target to our education committee. But we do know that there is about $140 million in the Education Stabilization Grant coming from the feds. And Senator Torres Ray had particularly looked at those dollars and how we could use some of those dollars for the very important needs that you mentioned, particularly mental health. We believe that getting our mental health resources into our schools is one of the best ways to make that mental health services, removing some of those barriers that are often in place to accessing mental health services. And then the other thing, Senator Torres Ray, was how we could use those resources to help with our broadband, our technology, making sure all of our kids are digitally connected. What we found, though, in that Education Stabilization Grant from the feds, the majority of that goes to the department. So the Department of Education will be determining how much of that is spent, and the rest of it goes to the governor. And I find it quite hard to believe that congressmen and women who make laws and appropriate dollars, knowing that that is the job of the legislature to appropriate dollars, when they sent their money to the states, they, in this particular case for the Education Stabilization Grant, they've sent it to the governor and to his commissioner. So I do think that's where those conversations now need to lie regarding that. But particularly on broadband, there are 4 other areas of funding in the CARES Act for broadband. So I do think we will get to those things. And then I had a couple other notes here that Senator Torres Ray asked about process. And we are down, members, to just a few hearings. We just got word today that even it's going to be difficult with our reduced staff at the Senate. It's going to be even difficult for us to get bills processed in time. And so this committee is no different really than any of the other committees, in that we are working closely to get through those bills that we know are necessary, like making sure our schools get the funding that's been appropriated to them, making sure we get them that flexibility, oftentimes regarding calendaring issues and that type of thing, or teacher licensure things, or truancy, or those type of issues. We want to make sure we get those calendaring things taken care of. And then, of course, trying to do them in that consolidated manner where we're working hand in hand with the House. And so that's what we're doing, Senator Torres Ray. So we're setting these bills aside, much like we often do in other as you know, as a chair, you often lay bills aside, and then we take those and move them as a whole. And we're hoping that we will be doing something like that. So I think these conversations are important, and we will continue to have those. And I do thank all of our committee members actually for their active participation, and for testifiers. We're kind of used to Zooming now, but not sure that, but I think our testifiers are too. And I just thank them for coming in this particular format. So I think the next hand that I saw was Senator Swedzinski's.
Thank you,
Senator
Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't think I'll ever get used to Zooming. So,
yeah.
Last week, I think we heard from one testifier, as I recall, on Senate File 4369, that's going to give some assistance to the 20,000 hourly workers. The bill has bipartisan support, authors from both sides of the aisle, and I think the stakeholders on both sides of the issue. I wonder if we'll have time in the few meetings we have left, if we'll take on hearing some testimony on that particular bill. If you'd like to answer that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Senator Swedzinski. Yes, that we can certainly discuss that bill today if you like. I don't know, it wasn't necessarily posted, but this is it would be a good time actually to do that. We still have about a half hour of our committee time. And I know in speaking with Senator Kent, that was one of the things that she wanted to do too. And I actually think we need to have a full discussion on that as well. There are a lot of moving pieces to that. And I think everyone agrees that it is critically important. In fact, as you know, the governor in his executive orders talked about how important it was that as the state is keeping, in fact, well, I think you've asked a good point, and I'll ask my researchers, if you could pull up the two of Governor Walz's executive orders. The first executive order about making sure all our hourly and all of our school staff were paid, and then as he revised that as well. So I think it's a very important discussion to have, and there's been a lot of discussion, certainly on social media, about that. Some who are, and I think it's important, Senator Swedzinski, that we actually do get out all of those facts, because I believe, like the governor does, and like all of us do, that we have done a yeoman's work. At least we're trying to make sure that our schools get all the funding that they were expecting, even though hours are different, and we know school funding is based upon hours and seat time and these kind of things and testing. And we're just in a different place today. We are in the COVID-19 era, and we're doing things differently, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that our schools do get that funding that is so critically important to them. And I think, I don't want to speak for the governor, he's got all kinds of folks who can speak for him, but that additional general order or executive order kind of spoke to that, which we all think of as, and some told me, they said, well, Senator Nelson, we want to make sure that if the state is sending all of the expected funds to our schools, that the schools are somehow not pocketing this money by furloughing or laying off people that the state is paying for. We want to make sure that nobody is laid off when the state is paying for them to be there. And so that, I think, at least that's the genesis of why I'm the chief author of Senate File 4639. That was my intention. And I was wondering if Ms. Lewis could maybe read that original executive order. If we'd known that we could have put that up today, but if you could read that, Ms. Lewis, and then we'll look at how the governor revised that. And I think that will be the second phase then of where we are today, perhaps. So Senator Lewis, I'm sorry for the demotion there. Miss Lewis, if you could kindly read the governor's executive order. I think it was executive order 2, but I'm not sure on the exact time. Yeah,
Madam Chair.
Ms. Lewis.
Madam Chair. Oh, this is
Senator Kent.
Thank
Senator
you.
Kent. Yes.
If I can just, and this is fine to go through this, but the point is that we need to have this on the agenda. We need to have testifiers. I appreciate that you're willing to dedicate some time to it, but this is coming out of the blue. I appreciate that Senator Swedzinski raised the question, but to just come in here with, a quick look at some aspects of this is not really giving us any sort of fair hearing. Just want to put that on the record. Thank you.
I appreciate that. We don't have a lot of time left, Senator Kent, and I think Senator Swedzinski has raised an important question. And if Ms. Lewis, and certainly Ms. Lewis, if you could speak to what that executive order was, if you could read that for us. And the date too. I think it's important to know the date too.
Well, okay. So I believe you're talking about Executive Order 2002, which I believe is the first one that closed schools for the planning before the distance learning period. So that was signed on March 15th. And then let me go back. I believe, if I find the language, I believe, let me see. I know we're talking about different references to employees. So the first one is about school employees are directed to report to work in accordance with applicable labor agreements and as required by their employers to assist with the emergency management planning activities provided in this executive order. I think next other references. So it's providing resources to support child care providers. I'm not sure these are the references that you're trying to talk about here.
I was looking particularly for the reference about school districts should make sure their hourly and all of their employees remain employed and do not lay them off. We're making you whole. We expect you to make your employees whole.
All right.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
And can we get, I've got the executive order in front of me, but I can't find, so if we need a citation, there's several pages here. So if you could please point out to where it is we're looking.
Sure, absolutely. And we will get that for you. I think I have it as well in my inbox if we can find that. So let's get that out there. I'm sure everyone's had a chance to look at that. There we go. And so while I don't want to run out of time either. And so we can continue the discussion, but we will have our staff. I see Mr. Cook, I see your face came up. Do you happen to have those two references to the governor's executive order regarding school employee payments being made whole?
I do, Madam Chair, and I think it's important to note that some of this was referenced in the executive order, but I think what you're specifically talking about was in the Department of Education instructions to the districts to implement the executive order.
Yes.
And on April 2nd, the department stated that because districts and charters will be receiving full funding for providing distance learning, it is expected that all staff, including non-salaried hourly staff, will earn full pay and benefits as planned in the school budget and bargaining agreements. Then the subsequent directions were added on April 2nd. And that said, it was revised a little bit. It said the executive order does not preclude districts or charter schools from making budget-based layoffs of staff and administrators for programs where dedicated funding streams don't exist, in accordance with applicable local labor agreements. Districts and charter schools should consult their attorneys for questions about compliance with employment contracts and with questions about unemployment compensation. So that's where it stands today. That's the most recent instruction to the districts.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. And so when I became the chief author of Senate File, or became the author of Senate File 4369, when I signed on to support that, of course, that was my intention too, which was that all of our school staff would be made whole, since the state was sending our schools all the money that they had been appropriated. But you might recall that there was a reason, I think, here why the governor or MDE changed their guidance, and I don't think it's a secret. We've heard from our school districts, we've heard from, and I'm sure you have too, that while this is so well intended and nobody would want to see anyone laid off or furloughed, but the challenge has been that, quite frankly, we have services within our schools that are paid for not with state funding. They're paid for in other ways. And to make our schools pay for staff that they no longer have revenue streams for was very concerning. And that is why the Bell Group, that would be all of those ed organizations, the superintendents, the school boards, the fiscal officers, the principals, all said, you know, we don't support that House provision that is requiring our school districts to deficit spend. In fact, we found that just in one element of those fees, those folks who were paid for by fees, which were no longer coming into the school districts, that was costing our schools $1 million a day. And early on, you know, I think there wasn't a whole lot of concern because, well, the thought was, well, we'll just come back next year and we'll have this deficit spending bill that we will bring forth to the legislature. And next year is a budget year. And that might have been a realistic expectation. But as things have rolled out and we have seen the devastation, not beyond COVID-19, the health crisis, we are also now seeing this economic crisis. And no one is expecting an additional sum of money to come from the legislature next fall to pay for $1 million a day of deficit spending. I think the reality is that it just isn't there. And while everyone would like to think that that's a possibility, no one believes that it is now. In fact, school leaders are telling me they're very concerned about what's going to happen next year. They're afraid that our economic situation, we've already burned through our reserves, is going to be that schools will get some sort of a cut or a shift. So increase the normal 90-10 shift to maybe 80-20, or some have said it could be as bad as 60-40. So I just think there's a dose of realism here that, as I said, I don't want to speak for the governor as to why the guidance was changed, but I can tell you that that's what I'm hearing from our school districts. They are extremely concerned, and it's causing great, one of the other additional things that is causing a significant issue in my area, and I imagine throughout the state as well, is that the governor mandated that school districts provide free childcare to our frontline workers, our critical workers, because we need them. We need them. And what the superintendents are telling me is they don't have the resources to pay those workers. If the workers were in a fee-based program or a federal program that is no longer paying for that revenue stream, and yet our school districts have, and then just as a little tangential thing, on the flip side, our childcare providers are crying because a number of their kids now have gone from childcare, where they were paying for childcare, to free childcare that is now being provided at our schools, but there's no revenue stream to pay those workers. So, and our schools are going in, and so that's really kind of the genesis of the discussion. We have tried, as you know, other things too, to make sure that our schools can have flexibility between funds. And that's one of those consensus items that certainly the House and the Senate agreed upon. But I'm sure you've heard from your school districts, just like I have, that yes, it's nice to have that flexibility in funds, but it's robbing. There's not enough in these different funding funds to different fund transfers to pay for that. And they're also concerned that about robbing dollars from next year's what we hope will be a start of a traditional school year, but there's no guarantee for that. And of course, now there's the concern about learning loss. And are we having learning loss, and what's going to happen next year? So while I definitely understand why the governor's initial executive order and guidance was as it was, because that was the intention. Fact of the matter is we live in a different world right now. And our school districts have recognized that. And we've had to recognize that as well. So that's kind of like that dose of reality. Now, I do see two hands, and I'm not sure who was first. Was it Senator Uyghur? I've not heard from you yet today. Senator Uyghur.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Given your hesitation about being chief author of Senate File 4639, I'd be happy to be substituted for that. Originally, Senator Abler had it. The House file is Representative Dabney. I believe there's even a further justification now for its passage. You mentioned the executive orders. And since that time, Lieutenant Governor Flanagan has made a very strong statement in support of such legislation. The commissioner herself, Commissioner Ricker, has indicated the importance of this. Since the extension of distance learning, the call for all hands on deck is clear. And if we're serious about that, the role of hourly workers is integral to that strategy. First and foremost, for reestablishing relationships. We could give several examples where that's being done, and the taking homework to students, to bringing it back, to listening to concerns, to the child care provisions. They are being reassigned there, but why should they have to suffer through that insecurity regarding their own job at the same time? Yes, the finances are an issue. You pointed out yesterday in the tax bill that we need to provide additional assistance. And when questions were raised about money, right now, we're going to have to figure it out. There will be some additional funds, can't say how much, but right now, all hands on deck. Everyone is needed, and we need to have a discussion and a vote, get it over with, and then continue to proceed. But we feel very strongly on this issue.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Uyghur. And I will note that it's the commissioner's guidance that has changed with the reality of the financial situation, that our schools just did not have the revenue streams. Certainly all the state revenue streams are there, but those revenue streams from fees that are no longer there, the commissioner was offered that guidance as far as that's the MDE guidance and Governor Walz's guidance as well.
I think we can get that updated.
Senator Uyghur, did you want to raise your hand?
Well, perhaps in a hearing we could get an update on that.
Thank you,
rather
Senator
than
Uyghur. Thank you. And we did have, I think it was just a week ago, we had the commissioner in front of our committee, and we did speak to this as well. And that was a place. She didn't exactly talk about how they plan to pay for that, and if her intention was for our schools to deficit spend $1 million a week. So that is an important piece. And I see Senator Kent's hand. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate your bringing that up. I want to first, if I may, ask if Ms. Lewis would follow up with the specific citations of where we can find the language from both the executive orders and what Mr. Cook read in terms of the guidance that came from the Department of Education. And that's what I wanted to follow up on because the commissioner was here on a hearing, and several of us had our hands up to ask questions and to get some clarification on some of that. And we didn't have that opportunity. And that's exactly why this notion of discussion about this issue can't just be a couple of us talking at length about this. We need to be able to ask some of these questions and have testimony from people come in and talk about how this is affecting people. And I'll just give a quick shout out. This is a slightly different example, but it goes to show the way we need to be responsive in this time and the way that that people are being affected and the way that we can make a difference. I had a constituent come to me fairly recently because of something they became aware of, that current law mandates that school buses can only stop and deploy their stop arms and their flashing lights when there are students on board. And this constituent brought that to my attention, and we all know how much these essential school workers have been doing to prepare meals and to gather materials and to support students in distance learning. And a lot of that is going out on school buses. School buses are taking books and school supplies and assignments and food to students and families around the state and communities across our state. And because then the students are there to meet the school bus, that creates a hazard if the bus can't deploy their emergency lights and stop arms. So I brought that forward, and Senator Scott Dibble and Senator Scott Newman worked very well together to help make that happen and include it in the transportation bill that's coming up. Because this isn't something anybody anticipated, but we're responding in a way because we know how important this is for our kids in this time. And so I just want to say that I hope we can continue to have this conversation. I hope the people who are living these experiences and understanding how this is affecting students and affecting our communities and affecting our schools and our workers can have a fair conversation about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kent. So I am looking, I don't know that there are any other comments, but Senator Anderson. Nope. Oh, okay. I wasn't quite sure. I thought I saw his hand there. But I do want to say it is true. Everyone knows how incredibly hard our paraprofessional and our hourly employees are working. I know as a teacher, they are one of the most integral parts of my classroom. And they often have such very close relationships with students as well. So I do think there are further questions. We don't know if we'll get to them. We definitely want to, I don't know if we'll get back to this on another day, because we definitely want to make sure we get out those pieces of legislation that are going to provide funding for our schools and that security that they need, and those pieces that we know are going to get across the finish line. But there are some questions to Senator Kent's point, and some of the questions that have to be wrestled with are what about employees who, for whatever reason, it could be because their kids are home and now they are glad that they are able to be home with their kids as well. Or I'm hearing from employers who have said, we know this was well intended, this $600 of additional unemployment a week on top of your regular unemployment benefits is making it hard for us to hire people to come back to work. That's $24,000 of additional unemployment benefits on top of regular unemployment benefits. And we have to, so while we can all understand and how important these hourly employees are, and we should protect them at every turn, we also have to be realistic that, number one, I don't believe anyone wants to put $1 million a day unfunded mandate on our schools. None of the ed orgs stood up and say that's what we want. In fact, they were all against that. That's called the Bell Group. Except for one, I do want to mention this. Ed Minnesota is a member of those 10 organizations that represent our school orgs, they were not, they do support the position that you are advocating for, Senator Kent, but none of the other ed orgs did. But we also have to realize, we also have to think about the people involved here. And would you say that those folks would, what are you gonna do about the people who would rather have been laid off so they could stay home with their kids, get the unemployment and the additional unemployment as well? I mean, that's an important thing. So the point is, we don't have a ready answer, but I think Senator Torres Ray had asked if Ms. Lewis is on from the Minnesota School Board Association, or if she had a comment. I think you asked a question, Senator Kent, and I don't see Ms. Lewis on here. If you're here, Kim, could you speak up, please? No, I don't think she is here, Senator Kent.
Madam Chair, I was
Senator
talking,
Kent.
I was speaking to Anne Marie Lewis, our staff, our council.
Oh, thank you very much. Could, Senator Kent, would you repeat your question then, please, for Ms. Lewis?
My question for Ms. Lewis is if she would please get the information, the sites, the specific sites from the executive orders that have been referenced and that Mr. Cook read from the guidance, so that we can go back and all be on the same page. And
yes.
And if I may, one more thing, I just want to follow up and clarify something that you had just said. In terms of people with childcare issues, they are covered under the CARES Act and are able to access unemployment insurance. So just wanted to make sure that was clear. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Members, I do appreciate the discussion today. These are hard issues. There are no easy issues here, and I appreciate all of the members who are so dedicated to our kids, and we want to make sure that we do get out those things. The clock is ticking, folks. The clock is ticking, and it's essential that we get these things across the finish line. One of them being that forecast article. Our schools are really afraid that next year there could be some reductions, and we better get that forecast article out to them. I think that's critical too. So we are running close to our end here, but I do see Senator Uyghur's hand. Senator Uyghur, yes.
Yep. So what's next?
Well, we have a hearing on Friday. I mean, this is Friday, excuse me. We have a hearing on Wednesday and Friday. Monday, we will be at the Capitol, and we will continue to make sure that bills that we can get those bills out that have bipartisan support and bicameral support. And we want to make sure that those bills get before our committee. And it could be as well that there could be some bills that we haven't, maybe these are all bills perhaps that we haven't heard that we should get before the committee, and then look at how can we get these things to the finish line, agreement with the House, and get our schools that assurance that they need. So that's the point, is to get through those bills. And we will be having, we'll be at the Capitol on Monday. We'll be having a hearing on Wednesday and Friday of next week as well. So
a clarification for Wednesday.
Senator Uyghur?
Yes,
Senator
thank
Uyghur?
you. For Wednesday, would it be informational again on non-controversials as well as Friday?
Yes, yes,
okay,
that's correct.
So and are you envisioning an omnibus bill at some point? You made an earlier reference, but I wasn't sure.
Well, it's, Senator Uyghur, you know me pretty well. I have a plan A and a B and a C and a D in my back pocket. We don't know. The point is, we're not sure what the House is going to do. You might have some insight that I don't have. If you do, share it with me. Our goal is to make sure that we have all of those things that have come out of this committee that have been non-controversial, that are consensus items, that we get those in a position so that we'll be able to get those across the finish line and get the results to our schools. That's the goal. And certainly we're trying to position things so they can get there We did try to do a few standalone consensus items, and they kind of got bogged down in our committee last week. So we're kind of shifting gears here and thinking, how can we get those things to the finish line? So that's where we are. Is
Just one
trying
final-
to make sure that we use our committee time to do that.
One final follow-up.
Yes.
Have you talked to Representative Dabney or to your leadership regarding the end process?
Yes, we have. Nobody has a clear picture yet. I think everyone is trying to get to that, but there has been no clear picture where we will be at the end. I think just from listening, and this always kind of pains me, quite frankly, but from listening to our leaders, they're talking about kind of these big global agreements, and I'm not sure, but I'm guessing they're really working out those details, and then other things will fall in underneath. But that's my speculation, which it doesn't really matter here. I'm just speculating, but I don't know. But we are committed, Senator Uyghur, to get consensus items agreed to by the House and the Senate that give our schools the maximum funding appropriations that we have put out there, and the flexibility that they need to make it through this COVID-19 crisis and prepare for learning in the fall. And we don't even know what that's going to look like, Senator Uyghur. But we want to be ready. So that's where we are. Senator and members, thank you. I don't see any other hands up. Senator Uyghur, do you want to lower your blue hand, or do you have another comment? Okay. All right. I think, is your hand up, Senator Uyghur? No. All right. Okay, members, thank you very much for your conversation, for your input today. We have a great weekend. We will see each other one way or the other at the Capitol on Monday. We'll have hearings on Wednesday and Friday of next week. Thank you so much. This meeting's adjourned.
Stay well.
Stay well.